Welcome to the Bookwanderers Club. Thank you for sticking with us. We are joined by the very patient Ross Welford.
Hello everyone.
And we are going to start with a reading from Ross's most recent book, which just came out in January, The Kid Who Came to Space. So Ross is going to tell us a bit about it and give us a taste of the book.
Excellent. Yes, The Kid Who Came from Space, there you go, is my new book. It came out in January this year. And I'm thrilled to report that people seem to be liking it very much, which is great. Thank you for buying it. Those who did, thank you for borrowing it from your library. Thank you for letting me know how much you're liking it. The story is about a small village in northern Northumberland, near the Scottish borders, where 12-year-old Tammy has gone missing. And a 12-year-old girl going missing results in a big upheaval in the village. The village is filled with police and search groups and the media, and to try to get away from the mayhem and to get a little bit of headspace, brother Ethan goes down to the lake with his friend Iggy, where they have a very strange encounter with a hairy creature, shall we say. We find out, I'm not spoiling anything, where we do find out very shortly that Tammy has been captured on an alien spaceship. So this is all going around in the reader's head as well, so I'm not spoiling anything. So this is on the jetty in the evening in the winter, so it's dark. And Iggy's leg has been caught on a big, huge fish hook, and it's gashed and bleeding. This may work, it may not, says the person in a costume, which I'm convinced by now. Your cellular structure is almost identical. Put your leg out. Iggy shrinks back and draws his leg in. This will not hurt. The creature pauses. Do it. Slowly, like a turtle coming out of its shell, Iggy extends his bloody leg. He's whimpering with fear. The throaty snuffle comes again, followed by the word, light. It's looking at me. I reach for the torch. In addition to the long, open gash in Iggy's leg, there's the hook, still deeply embedded in his flesh, and the blood is pouring out onto the jetty. The creature advances further, the rod in its hand, and moves it over the wounds. Then, as we watch, the blood seems to dry and scab over. The huge fishhook, with the lure attached, is pushed out by the hardening flesh and falls onto the decking of the jetty. The scab turns browner, then black, all in the space of about 30 seconds. The creature replaces the stick in its backpack, then, with a long finger, gently flicks at the scabs, which drop off, revealing pink, fresh skin underneath. It stands up upright, and I look at its feet. They are bare and hairy, and definitely not fake ones slipped over shoes. She is smallish, but not tiny, not as tall as me. It isn't hunched over and creepy like Gollum in The Lord of the Rings, not at all. And though it's stark naked, it doesn't seem at all embarrassed by the fact. Without taking his eyes off the creature, Iggy says to me, it's a girl. How do you know? Iggy tuts. Look, Tate, no boys' bits. Well, I hadn't noticed, but he's right, and I feel oddly embarrassed, staring at her like that. I feel myself blushing, and when she stands up, the still, cold air gives a waft of her smell. Blocked drains, sour milk, earwax, it's all of those things blended together to make a rich, foul odour that's not just her breath, it's her. Jeez, she flippin' stinks, I whisper. Iggy has taken his cap off and is holding it to his nose. I thought it was you at first, he said, his voice muffled. Slowly, Iggy and I get to our feet, and the three of us stand there in a little triangle, saying nothing, just, being utterly astonished. and Iggy flexes his newly cured leg. Eventually, he jams his cap back on, pats his chest twice. "Me, Iggy," he says, and the creature blinks hard. I could swear she's thinking, why is he talking like a half-wit? All the time, at the same time, taking my cue from Iggy, I point at myself and say, "Me, Ethan." I can't precisely say how I know this because it's not like she gasps or blinks or anything, but I can tell she's surprised. "Ethan?" she says. "Yes." She lifts her chin, then lowers it. The action is sort of like a nod, but done backwards. Then she says something that sounds like, "Helliam," and she pats her own chest. So yeah, that's how Iggy and Ethan meet Helliam, the alien, and that they've got a whole book of adventures to try to get Tammy back safely from wherever she is.
And what was the kind of first seed of the idea for this book? Was it the alien element, the sibling element? Like, where did the kind of first seed grow from?
It kind of came from this idea that I'd always been a little bit reluctant to accept, but everybody seemed very keen to label me as science fiction writer, and I don't see myself as writing sci-fi at all, really, but a lot of my stories have got elements of that, you know, and so I finished the last book and I started thinking, okay, what are we going to write about now? And I thought, sci-fi, well, they're calling me a sci-fi writer, I better write something about aliens. And so I thought, what about an alien that comes to Earth? And I thought, well, okay, it's been done before, but thought of ways around it, and ended up with this one.
Fab.
Yeah.
You said at the beginning it's set in the Northeast, and I wanted to ask you about this because I grew up in the Northeast.
I
grew up in Ponteland.
Ponteland, oh yeah, right, okay. You've lost your Geordie accent a bit like me.
Yeah, I never really. I'm a right sort of. My dad is Scottish. My mum's from Yorkshire. Right. Like I grew up in Northumberland, not sort of Newcastle. So I never had a very. It comes out when I go home. It definitely comes out of it. But it's one of the things I really love reading your books is that they're sort of familiar to me. I think all of your books are set in the Northeast. Is that right?
Yeah, they are actually. When I started writing, which was time traveling with a hamster, I just set it in an imaginary, fictional town, and it didn't feel quite right to me. It felt a little bit that I was struggling to make it feel real to me, and seeing the town in Hamster was based in my head on where I'd grown up, which is Collicoats in the Northeast. I thought, why don't I just make it there?
Yeah.
And as soon as I started doing that, I felt more comfortable. And I thought, when it came to write my second one, I thought, well, I don't want to write it in the same place.
Right.
But then about a quarter of the way in, I thought, oh, what the hell, I'll write it in the same place. And so after those two, I was a Geordie writer, and people seemed to like it. It turned out that there's not that many. I mean, there's some. I'm hanging to the coattails of some wonderful writers who write about the Northeast, but it's still not that common. And so I quite like it. So yeah, Kielder in here in Northumberland, that moves a little bit further away from the Northeast coast, but it's still the same kind of area.
Yeah, well, Kielder is very like we used to do like school residential trips to Kielder, so it's very familiar to me. Yeah. Obviously, like you talked about your kind of main characters, but they're not just siblings, are they? They're twins.
They're twins, yeah.
And I was wondering, like, why twins, and what kind of does that allow you to do something slightly different with the dynamic?
Why twins? I have twins.
Okay.
So when I became a dad of twins, I suddenly realised that twins are everywhere. You know, most classes or most school classes seem to have a set of twins, or most school years will have twins in them. So there is. This is just a little game I play with myself. There is a set of twins somewhere in every book.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just so they might be secondary or tertiary characters.
Yeah.
But there's always a set of twins.
Always somewhere.
Yeah, and so for this one, I just decided to make them the main characters.
I love that. So if you've read Ross's books and never noticed that before, you can go back and reread them and find the twins.
Yeah.
Great. I think now might be a nice time to do the second reading. So Ross's last book actually has become suddenly rather more topical in that it has a bit of a theme of a kind of disease spreading around the world. So we thought that might make a topical reading. So yeah, Ross is going to tell you a bit about the state of the world.
Okay. Do you know what I'll do for this one? I'll do the very, very opening page, which doesn't tell you an awful lot about the story, but it is really, really sweet, I think. And this is narrated by Georgie. All my books are in the first person. This is Georgie, who's 11. A quick check on the back. Georgie's 11, and it starts. This is like an epilogue, a prologue, and it starts. Whitley Bay, not many years from now. I've got this framed poster on my bedroom wall that Dad got me for my birthday. I see it every morning and every night, so I know it off by heart. The wisdom of the dogs. 1. Don't trust anyone who doesn't like dogs. Number 2. If what you want is buried, dig and dig until you find it. Number 3. Don't bite if a growl is enough. Number 4. Like people in spite of their faults. Number 5. Start each day with a wagging tail. Number 6. Whatever your size, be brave. Number 7. Whatever your age, learn new tricks. And number 9. If someone is having a bad day, be silent. Sit near and nuzzle them gently. It's all true, every single word, as I discovered last summer when the world nearly ended.
So
and I just noticed I became more Geordie doing that, didn't I?
Yes, you did. I like it. It makes me feel at home having a little Geordie twang. Those northern vowels.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the start of The Dog Who Saved the World, and it's a story about. Well, it's about a pandemic. I know, but I was writing it literally 2 years ago. Yeah. In the spring of 2018. Obviously, had no knowledge of what was to come, and in case you're thinking it's a bit grim, it does have a happy ending.
Okay. Okay, that's one spoiler we will do.
Yeah. So The Dog Who Saved the World. So you know the ending. Before you start, so it does have a happy ending.
So if you want a reassuring read about a virus that all ends well, then maybe that's a good one.
I hope so. But,
yeah.
Some of the things I just had to guess about it. Yeah. Some of the things about how it pans out are completely wrong, but some of them are spookily right. So.
I feel like people have been saying that people are in kind of two camps. They either want to read books like kind of about like viruses and things going wrong, or they're going the other way and they kind of want to read like very escapism books. So whichever camp you're in, you can choose what
to completely read. Get that.
Yeah. Speaking of books, what have you been reading while you have been home? Have you are you been reading lots, and have you
I'm working. I'm writing at the moment. I'm writing my next one, which is coming out in January 2020. And we were chatting before we came on air. I think we were agreeing that it can be a little bit distracting, with all the news and everything going around. But I'm able to have lots of time to focus on it. But I am reading. My favourite thing that I've read so far recently is by a new writer, Darren Simpson, and it's called Scavengers. Now, this honestly, I love this from page one. It's such an original idea that he's come up with. Set in it's sort of a contemporary world. It might be sometime in the near future. We don't know. And it's a kid growing up in a landfill, in a huge, in an enormous landfill, probably in the UK or somewhere English speaking. And he's being brought up by a strange Fagin type figure called Babagoo, and the kid himself is called Landfill, and there's only Babagoo and Landfill living together, and all of their animals that Landfill has a particularly deep connection with. And I can't really tell you much more without spoiling it. But do you know what the thing that really attracted me to it in the bookshop is the cover? Check out, it's just such a gorgeous cover.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and it's lovely on the back as well, and that really leapt out. The cover by Tom Cole, who, as it turns out, also does my covers. And I didn't know that.
That's serendipity.
So shout out to Tom Cole, very talented cover illustrator. And
that book Scavengers is out now.
It is out now, yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
I'll put that
published by Osborne.
Fab, and I'll put that in the details down below when I upload this properly so people can check it. Right, I have one more question for you, and then I want to ask you some questions that I have got from the live chat and from Instagram yesterday.
Cool.
My last question, as this is the Bookwanderers Club, is if you were going to book wander inside of a book, whether it's one of your own books or someone else's book, where would you choose?
Do you know what? I think if I had the opportunity, and this is a bit of a cheat because I'm going to choose one of my own books.
No, go for it. Yeah.
I would choose to go back to the Viking times with Alfie in The 1,000-Year-Old Boy.
Yeah.
And in tough times, you know, we didn't live in comfortable houses, and you had a feral chance of being killed with an axe. Before you were 30, so you know I'd have to be careful.
Okay. Yeah.
Dodge those marauding invaders. But yeah, I think I've always been fascinated by the Viking times, and I think that would be my choice. And of course, if I was Alfie, I would have 1,000 years to experience all of those different periods in history. So that would be my choice.
It's a smart choice, I think.
Yeah. I'd choose to be 1,000 years old.
Okay, so do remember to pop into the live chat if you have a question for Ross, because we are going to talk about bookshops actually briefly. So I'm aware that some bookshops have just said this morning that there are some issues with bookshops getting hold of books and sending them out, but regardless, I want to ask you about your favorite independent bookshop, because even if you can't buy books from them right now, it's still lovely to hear about authors' favorite bookshops, I think. So which was the bookshop that you had picked?
Oh, my favorite was Lutyens and Rubinstein in Notting Hill. I can walk there, which is really nice, and so I sometimes go around it with my dog. They prefer me to leave the dog outside, which is fair enough. And it's a lovely, it's a sort of long, narrow shop. It's exactly how you imagine a bookshop to be. And it's got little steps leading up to another level, and they do stock my books, which is a relief. And the people there are really friendly. And last I checked, they were doing mailing out of books, and it's great. You know that bookshop in where Hugh Grant works in Notting Hill. It's exactly like that. It's not the same one, I don't think. There's another one. There's another one. I'm not even sure it's still open now, which is actually the model for the Hugh Grant
Right.
in Notting Hill. But it's a bit like that. You imagine that that's what they were basing it on, and it's a really nice job.
When I was making up Pages and Co, Lutyens and Rubinstein is definitely one that was kind of floating around in my head. It's
exactly.
like
Yeah, you know all about those sort of perfect fantasy bookshops. That's exactly what Pages and Co.
I spent a lot of time thinking about that. Yeah. Right. Now we're going to do some questions, and I'm actually going to start with this one, which is because that's linked to what we we're just talking about. Because Gary has asked, is the option of getting signed books from there? I'm aware, like at the moment, it might be a bit. Who knows what's going on? But in generally speaking, might that be somewhere that someone could get a signed copy of your book from?
I have no idea. Unless, the only way I can see it happening is if they approached me and asked me to sign some books for them to the shop, or I went round rather pleadingly with a bag of signed books and said, "Would you put them?"
Just so you know, I go to my local bookshop and I say, "Do you have my books in? Can I sign them?"
Oh, do you? Oh, I've never had the nerve to do that.
I must admit, I do. I have a great indie just down the road from me, and I just asked them if I could sign my copies of my book. So, and they've never said no, either through politeness or awkwardness.
You're the fourth person to come in claiming to be annotated.
Yeah. So maybe in the future, you might be able to get signed books.
Yeah. All right, and I will do that. I'll do
that. Okay. So we have some questions. So I know, so it says Tor, but I know that this is actually Willow who has asked this question. We've got some parents to answer. Willow has asked, which was your favourite book to write of yours?
Well, you know the answer to this, Anna. This is like asking me which is my favourite child. You know, the answer has to be, and the answer is always my latest one, because you know that's the one that's always, I think, always closest to an author. It's the one we can remember the best, because well, you and I, you know, when you do one a year, it's easy. You have to kind of wipe your memory of the last one in order to create space for the new one. So I would say, and also I'm really pleased with the kid who came on Space, because it was, well, they're all hard, but this one was quite hard to write, and so I was really pleased with how it turned out.
Yeah. It is a funny one, isn't it? I think I'm in a slightly different position because I write a series, so I have to kind of keep that a bit more. I'm writing the same characters, but even that, my first book is just out in America, so people keep asking me about the first book, which I wrote like 4 years ago, and I keep being asked questions that I can't remember the answer to.
Particularly secondary characters.
Right.
Somebody asks, "What about this person?" And you go, "Who?"
Yeah. Oh my God.
Who is that?
I'm editing my third book in the series, and I have to keep going and checking like tiny details, like, oh, that tiny character, what did I call them? And I have to go and find it in the first book to remember what I called a character.
You know what you need? You need a series historian like they have on the Archers.
Yes.
Somebody will check all the scripts to make sure that nobody says something that completely contradicts what they said 15 years ago or something.
Yeah, that's like a sign of success when you get like you get an archive of your books, so you don't have to do you don't have to remember the details.
Oh, we can dream, man.
Right. Mia, who is 10, is a budding author and would like to know what tips you have for writing your first book.
I think the biggest tip I have for somebody writing their first book is possibly the hardest one and the hardest thing to do, and that is to finish it. It's not very often with me. It's not until I've got to the very end and actually typed the end that I can go back and really know what the book is about. Because for all of that time, for all of those months leading up to typing the last couple of words, the end, I'm preoccupied with plot and character, and can this person say that, and oh my goodness, she's 100 miles away, but she's supposed to be having this kind of, you know, all of that sort of the minutiae. And you get that down and you read it, and you go, that's what it's about. Oh, so her quest overlaps. Oh, and then you can go back and rewrite it and make it make sense. And well, as Neil Gaiman said, the second draft is making it. It's something like making it look like you intended it to be that way all the way along.
So true, so true. Yeah.
So Mia, I would say finish it however you can. Just finish it, get to the end, and then you can go back and rewrite it.
Yeah, that's very good advice. I second that advice. We have a question from Peter Bunzel, who is an author himself. Hi Peter, thanks for watching. Peter wants to know, how do you become a magician, and what are the similarities between magic and writing?
Nice one, Peter. Thank you. I became a magician because I was fascinated by, right from a very early age, from being about 6. I got obsessed with doing magic tricks, and the way I didn't really realise that it was informing my writing until probably after I'd written my second book, and then I realised that I was talking about all of these impossible things that were happening in a contemporary real world. So time travel, invisibility, all of these things are, they could almost be subjects for a magic trick. And so I ended up writing about magic, but sort of real magic. Yeah. And now the magic remains a hobby. I still do it. I still perform at my school shows. I always do 1 or 2 magic tricks with a bookish theme. I always do that, which is fun. And I still, I still read about it. I still watch it online. I'm still a bit of a magic nerd. Yeah. So, and then it was about a year ago, I became a member of the Magic Circle, which was an ambition, a life's ambition come true. So
it's amazing.
I don't know. You haven't seen me. You haven't seen me perform. It's not that funny. But yeah, it's a fun hobby.
That actually leads us quite nicely onto your writing prompt. But I am aware. I just want to make sure. Well, someone has asked, Adam has asked, can we see your dog? But I'm not sure how.
Except my dog is out in the country at the moment. I'm in isolation in London. I've had the symptoms. But my family's out in the country with the dog, so I'm having to do without her.
Next time.
I haven't even got a photo of her. Shame.
Okay. And I've just this is going to be the last one because I've just seen it sneak in, and it's from Annika, who's 6, and she would like to know, what is the hardest thing about writing a book?
The hardest thing about writing a book, oh my goodness me, is continuing to do it when you're not really in the mood. I think if you're a professional or a commercial writer, you don't really have a choice. You have a contract to produce a book on a certain date, and you have editors and production staff and illustrators and distributors and printers. They're all backed up along the line, all in a chain to bring your book out on a particular day. And if you don't meet your deadline, then you're letting a lot of people down. Yeah. And so that means that even on the days where you can't think of what's going to go on, and this character is not working, and this plot is rubbish. I'm just describing my current book at the moment. You still have to get up and go and sit at your desk and write.
Yeah.
Confident, or trying to remain confident that it'll all turn out right in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other writers around the country going, yeah,
very much so. Yeah. Right, we are nearly out of time. I've gone a little bit past 1:30 because I messed up the streaming at the start. But we're going to finish with a sort of magic themed idea from Ross, and he has a prop.
I do. I brought along a prop. That doesn't fit nicely with our idea of, with my idea of doing impossible stuff and trying to make impossible stuff real. I got this as a present ages ago. You can see it's a deck of playing cards inside a bottle. Now, obviously, that's impossible. Okay, there's no way in into the bottle, and I just love it. I have it on my above my desk on the little shelf of things I have above my desk. You know, fridge magnets and little toys, and this is one of them. And you know, I like looking at it and wondering how it got there. I don't really know. There are people who have posted online of ways you can do this by dismantling the box and squeezing the cards in and then resealing it. So that's my challenge. Right, think of something absolutely impossible as your starting point and see where it takes you.
Excellent. I love that. So there you go. That is something that maybe you could do this afternoon or later this week. Write something impossible. I love that. Right, that is all we got time for today. Thank you for tuning in once again. Sorry we had a slightly delayed start. We are back on Wednesday with Frank Cottrell Boyce, and on Friday with Kate Young, who is doing some book themed recipes, and we'll be announcing the authors for next week soon as well. So thank you for watching, but massive, like the biggest thank you of all is to Ross for joining us. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for doing this, Anna.
All right.
That's great. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for watching. See you on Wednesday.
Bye bye.